Hey everyone, welcome back to another Crooked Chicken video. Before we get started today, I just want to take a quick moment to say thank you. I recently hit 100 subscribers. I know it's not a big deal in the grand scheme of things, but as far as those baby steps are concerned to achieving something that is very important to me, I just want to say thank you, and thank you for your continued support and people that come check out my videos and everything. And I hope you come back for more and tell your friends. I mean, that would be an amazing thing that you guys can do to help out grow my channel and everything and get my content out there. Anyways, I just want to say thank you, and let's get into today's video. Today's video, if you've been keeping up with the news coming out of DC, whether it be the movies or TV, it's all just a giant fucking mess. All of it. I'm sure if you've been following all of this, you are very familiar with the fact that recently Wonder Woman 3 has been quote-unquote canceled, or they're putting it on the back burner, or whatever they're doing with it. We all heard that Patty Jenkins turned in her script for it, and it was turned away. They decided it was not the path that they wanted to go, or the direction they wanted to go with that character and with that particular franchise of the DC Universe. And it was initially reported that it was just canceled by James Gunn and Peter Safran, who are the newly appointed CEOs of DC movies. And it was later reported after that that was not the case, that she did turn in a script and everything, and they didn't like it, and they gave her the chance to come back with a new script, and she basically told them to go get fucked. She was not going to do that. She wanted to continue with her version and her vision of everything that she'd worked for in the last couple movies. The first movie, yes, it was a great movie, and then the second one came out. It did not get quite as high praise as the first one and everything, and so she decided that she was just going to walk away from the project altogether, and now it's kind of in limbo. And it kind of goes along with today's theme, with all of the DC projects kind of in limbo, and no one knows what the hell is going on with all of them, and the news just keeps spilling out as far as all of that's concerned. And it was a big shock concerning Wonder Woman, considering like a day before this happened, Gal Gadot had posted a tweet about the future of the movie and excited to share the next chapter, and then the next day it was complete reverse on what she'd even said. So whether or not she's even going to continue in that role is still unconfirmed, and the current DC lineup is probably going to change. Honestly, they're probably going to recast everybody and reboot the whole universe, and honestly they probably should. It's just kind of been a clusterfuck along the way with every movie that they've put out. But we will get into more of that down the road. And continuing on with everything, the next big thing that came out was Jason Momoa is reportedly stepping down from the role of Aquaman and is going to play another DC role, the role of Lobo. Him, I don't know a ton about. So with him leaving, or possibly leaving Aquaman, there's another kind of vacancy on what they're going to do and who's going to even fill that role. If they do, they could just disregard all of Snyder's work, because that's kind of the direction that they've been going. They just kind of want to reboot his whole universe and just kind of walk away from it all. And it continues on as a lot of people heard, and Henry Cavill made this announcement himself, that he was going to come back as Superman.
Hey everyone, I wanted to wait until the weekend was over before posting this,
She's sweet. She likes baseball.
because I wanted to give you all a
two
chance
beers
to
at lunch.
watch Black Adam.
My beers?
But now that plenty of you have,
She's a very
I
nice
wanted
girl.
to make it
Okay,
official
we had a good time.
that
But
I
I
am
don't
back
see it going
as
Yeah, but you
Superman.
always say that.
And
Maybe if
the
you
image you
gave
see on
this
this
girl a
post
chance, it would
and
go
what you saw
somewhere.
in Black Adam
I'm sorry, you
are just
guys.
a very small
I just
taste
don't think so.
of things to come.
Fine.
So
Hey,
there's
don't
lots to be thankful
start
for,
judging
and
me.
I'll get to that in
This
time.
woman's in love with her assistant. Huh? And
I
you're
want
the
to
one
thank
who's
you
having the
guys
affair
most
with the
of
guy
all.
who keeps the
Thank you
pigeons
for
on the
your
roof.
support, and thank you for your patience.
Baby.
I promise it will be
Secret
rewarded.
affair.
Well, it seems that might not be the case now, as the continuing discussions and decisions are going about as far as that whole series of characters. James Gunn may just do away with all of it. And the sad thing is, a couple days ago, it was revealed that Henry Cavill's Superman was supposed to lead a Crisis on Infinite Earths storyline movie, and the Flash that's coming out next year is supposed to lay the groundwork for all that, but they could very well cut anything to do with that out of that movie, because that movie's been surrounded by controversy anyways, with just Ezra Miller being a complete weirdo and getting arrested multiple times for the things he's been doing, his strange behavior, and he's recently went in to get help for all of this, and just it kind of leaves everything out in the open of what they're going to do. More than likely, I could see them just dismissing him after this first movie and not involving him in any future projects, just because it seems that's where James Gunn and Peter Safran want to go. They just want to do away with this whole universe. And just continuing on from there, it was reported that Black Adam was not doing well. It was a loss of money for the studio, and then Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, goes out of his way to tweet out that that is not the case, that it is still making money, it's making back everything that was put into it, and then it's been very profitable, going out of his way really to defend everything that's been said about his movie, because there was talks of a sequel and then a Hawkman spinoff, but I don't see that happening. I could see this whole universe just continuing to roll downhill and then being forgotten about. It is a real shame because of all the effort that he went into to get Henry Cavill to do that cameo. I still haven't seen this movie, so I can't really judge it one way or the other. It's not really on my top priorities. I mean, because the DC universe from the get-go has been a clusterfuck. They are going in every which direction. You have different characters branching off in different movies. You have the Ben Affleck Batman, then you have Robert Pattinson Batman, which are not supposed to be involved in the same universe. Then we're supposed to have the return of Michael Keaton in The Flash. And from everything that I've heard, it's just a giant mess. And just, honestly, it would probably be in their best interest just to reboot it all and just forget the last, 8 years, 10 years have happened. With all of this shakeup, it's also strange to see that none of James Gunn's movies or series are even being mentioned as far as being rebooted or recasted or just disregarded completely to bring about a new universe for the new age. And just, it's strange that none of that's being brought up. And so with the last decade, we have these different timelines, like I said, and these different movies branching off into different universes or just having nothing to do with anything at all. It's just been an utter mess, and just no one really knows what's going on. So the DC movie universe is just questionable right now. We don't know what's going to happen. I don't think James Gunn even knows what's going to happen. He is quoted saying a lot of different things. Some things are contradicting, like it's going to be different, but it's going to be the same, and just a lot of random shit coming out of his mouth. And so no one really knows what's really going on. And that kind of has been spilling over into the CW universe. We have all the shakeup going on over there with it being bought out and the new ownership and new leaders and everything not wanting to go in the direction that it has been in for the last decade. You know, everyone, if you follow those shows, you are very familiar with the fact that we have the CW verse, or the Arrowverse, which it is properly called, that was built off the back of the success of Arrow, starring Stephen Amell. With all of these other shows, it was a combined TV universe built over multiple shows, and you had ones that had a full run, and then you had these handful that fell through the cracks because of poor performance and poor reception from the fan base. And with all of that said, you also have The Flash, which is going into its last season. It's only going to be a 13-episode order, I believe, so it's only going to be a partial season of what it's been in the past. And it's going to close out the Arrowverse. That universe that was built is going to be officially over. And the only thing that's going to be left is a little remnant of it all. It really is just going to be Superman and Lois. But that has also kind of separated itself from everything. With the last season, towards the end of the season, it was kind of mentioned, kind of off note or off to the side, that this particular Superman is not the one we started off with. It was mentioned in a sense that in his universe, he is the only hero on that Earth. So the Flash, Arrow, Legends, and all them, they are not part of this universe. And this is where that show separated itself from everything, creating yet another timeline, another universe to kind of branch off and do its own thing. And then with that also, you have Diggle come in, but it's not the same Diggle. It's a different Diggle, different timeline, different world. And he's coming in, and he's supposed to have a spinoff called Justice U. And David Ramsey has come in and said that this is still going. It's still supposed to happen and everything. But it's really hard to tell at this point, just because of everything that's going on over in the CW world with the leadership and what their decisions they still have yet to make. I mean, we had Gotham Knights. That trailer dropped during Comic-Con, and we have not heard really anything since. I think there's been some slight casting news. But as far as whether or not that show's even going to move forward, it remains questionable, but it would probably be best not to do it. I did not particularly care for that trailer. It did not... The story that they were kind of pitching just wasn't doing it for me, and just it looked like a DC version of Riverdale and just looked like a complete mess. That's all I'm going to say. With all of this news spilling out of the DC world, whether it be TV or movies, a lot of things are kind of up in the air, and basically everything that we've known for the last decade plus is going to be wiped off the map, and they're going to start fresh. Especially on James Gunn's side, they just don't seem to be working towards the same goal that they were working towards. And here's where I'm going to kind of give my little thoughts and comments, other than what I've already kind of given. The DC movie universe has been a fucking mess from the get-go. They tried way too hard to mimic what Marvel was doing, and they wanted to hurry up and spit out these movies, whether they made sense or whether they aligned with other characters and other timelines and other stories. And they just wanted so badly to have that success, but they just got their fail. They were a giant failure amongst all of it, and just, it has been a fucking mess ever since, and they have not been able to do any of it just because of the fact that they wanted to be like Marvel, and they spit out all these movies that did not co-align with anything that they had previously put out, like they did Man of Steel. That came out, that was a great movie. And then, instead of taking those baby steps, taking those baby steps and doing one movie at a time, one individual movie as far as introducing characters. They should have done one Superman movie, they should have done one Wonder Woman movie, one Batman movie, and introduce these characters individually, just like Marvel did, and then build up to that Justice League. But they rushed through it, and they spit out Justice League, and it was a fucking failure. It was a god-awful movie as far as Joss Whedon's concerned. He's got his own drama going on. He may even be done in the entertainment industry just because of all the shit that's coming up about him. But I'll leave that alone. And so we're getting all these things that we are not happy with. They don't make sense, and just they rush them, or they try to change them too much, or too many people have input as far as the creative process is concerned, and then it just destroys the potential that the movie could have had. Another example, as far as something that we might have actually loved that got pulled out from under us, is Michael Keaton was supposed to come back for a Batman Beyond movie. They recently announced that this has now been shelved. They're throwing away that idea. And so that was a movie that I would have really looked forward to, because honestly, yes, Michael Keaton is a great Batman. I grew up on his Batman, the first couple of movies that he did before he kind of walked away from him. You know, it's great that we're going to get him back in the Flash, but then, you know, that could be a one and done thing, and then they're just going to disregard that movie, and all the work they put in to get him to even come back, which was probably a lot of work. I mean, the man probably had to be paid an outrageous amount of money to come back, and just, it's now going to be all for naught, because they could have brought in a new generation Batman and done Batman Beyond, and then they could have built off that if they did it right. But as far as I can see, DC is doing everything wrong. They don't really care what the fans have to say, and just they want to do their own thing. Or in the case of like Justice League, even though it was beyond his control, you know, Zack Snyder come in, did his thing, and then he had to leave mid-production because he had a tragedy in the family. And then Joss Whedon come in and completely destroyed it. Reshot all this crap, had this horrible CGI, and just people tore it apart. Rightly so, because, you know, I remember seeing that movie and being very underwhelmed. And then I sat through the 3-hour version of Zack Snyder's. It was better. But then again, it still had its issues too. So Anyways, guys, I know that was a lot to digest, and I'm sure there'll be more news that'll come out regarding what's going on with the CW and what's going on with the DC movie universe. It's probably going to continue to fall apart because no one knows what they're doing. Too many people have input. Too many people are struggling back and forth for control over these characters and the stories and everything. And nobody wants to have any wiggle room or make any kind of sacrifice or anything to make a quality movie. They just want people brought in, do what they say, and leave, and not really fight for a good movie. So, honestly, I think the DC Universe, as far as movies especially, is going to continue to fail just because they're trying way too hard to be something that they're not. So, anyways, again, I realize that was a lot to kind of digest, and I think that'll do it. So if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, leave those comments, and if you feel so inclined, please subscribe to the channel, and I would greatly appreciate it. So until next time, guys, I will see you later. Bye.